Hello everyone, we are at the tail end now of the Year of the Snake, which means it's time to talk about my book Bingo, and my little bingo board that I started at the beginning of the lunar year. And as you can see, I haven't managed to fill out all the squares, unfortunately, but I did get a bingo not that long ago actually, and coincidentally I ran out of snake stickers right when I got the bingo, so you can see that my four in a row here, the vertical one, like the last sticker, instead of a snake, I just put a raccoon and a little star. So in this video, I'm going to go over all the squares, explain the prompt, and whether or not I succeeded in reading a book related to it. So we'll begin with Naga up here in the top corner. Naga is part snake, part human sort of divinity. And originally my idea for this was just that it had to be a book which featured a snake and people in it. So, and most books feature people in them. So basically just something with a snake in it. It's actually kind of funny. I saw a lot of Nagas in this year because I went to Cambodia and they have them on temples, right? So I got to see like a lot of the statues, and they're often like in the temples in Cambodia, like the walkway going from like the normal world into the spiritual temple world is always lined by these two Nagas on either side of it. So and their snaky bodies like go all the way down the walkway. And that image of the Naga as like a snake which bridges like your normal everyday life with something more spiritual and profound, or just like some other world, actually ended up being perfect for the book I chose for that prompt, which was Mild Vertigo by Mieko Kanai. It's specifically the first chapter. So every chapter is like about this housewife in Japan, and she's going through like just mundane life. And it's kind of like quite oppressive the way it's written. It's just like lists and like stuff happening and like all these run-on sentences, no like paragraph breaks. It's like all very relentless mundanity. But like in a lot of the chapters, almost all of the chapters, there's like one moment that kind of breaks through, that sort of pierces through some strangeness that the main character Natsumi is kind of entranced by. And in the first one, comes at the end. The first chapter is called Tap Water. And the word for tap in Japanese is jaguchi, and one of the characters for that is the character for snake. And the main character is wondering why, like, they have, the word snake is built into the word tap. She talks about how sometimes when she turns on the tap, she watches the water coming out of it, and it looks like snakes kind of intertwined, like just pouring out. And she finds something entrancing about that, and it like puts her almost into a trance, and she finds herself just staring at the tap water. And that's at the end of the chapter, and it's so refreshing. I love Mieko Kanai's writing. I love any writer who can make, turning on the tap feel like some out of this world magical moment, which she does. It's more like you feel it more in the context of everything that's come before. And she manages to create all these moments of like mundane things which feel like bridges to the other world or something like that throughout this book. So that's why she gets the snake sticker here for Naga. The next one, Anaconda, had to be a very long and aquatic book because anacondas are very long and aquatic snakes. This one, as you can see, I didn't finish. I had a few choices for this, but the one that I settled on was The Winners by Julio Cortázar, because while it's not short, right? It's 441 pages, right? So I think that's a long book, but I really wanted something like gargantuan, so I wasn't sure about picking this up first. So what I decided to do was read it alongside the Spanish one, right? Which is, like more pages because of all the footnotes, and it's like how much? 531. Oh, and there's notes at the end. Like, I think there's quite a long introduction. But anyway, we're talking about 800 pages at least, right? So I thought that's a good long aquatic story. It's a story about a bunch of people in Argentina who win a lottery for some sort of mysterious cruise. And so I think most of the book they're on the boat. I have to admit, I haven't even gotten on the boat yet. There's a prologue which lasts like a third of the book, which is quite ambitious, although I wouldn't expect anything less from Julio Cortázar. And I'm struggling with it, with the language and stuff. So that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Next up is fantasy. I could have picked a couple for this one, but I'm going for Babel by R.F. Kuang, the Hogwartsian post-colonial dark academia. Then we have Euripides, which was simply, these ones aren't snake related. Not all of them were snake related, as you can see. Euripides was just a book by Euripides because I try and read one once a year. And I did Medea, his most famous Medea, about, you know, a woman who is scorned and goes on her revenge spree. And you kind of, it's a book that makes you want to go slay queen and then go, oh, but not literally. Next is Viper, a snake which is short and venomous. So the book had to be the same. I picked The End of the Affair by Graham Greene, around 200 pages. So a little on the long side for this prompt, but I think it's fine. Graham Greene is just such a bitter man. I mean, I don't know if he really is, but like the two things I've read by him have such like hostility in them that like the pages just are, they do feel kind of poisonous, especially this one. It's about an affair which has ended and the guy is kind of looking back on it, and it ended during the Blitz in World War II, and there's some historical stuff going on there, but it's more about, you know, how it's kind of destroyed and taken over his life, and there's a lot of religion stuff going on. It's hard to talk about the plot without giving it away because things kind of develop in surprising and unexpected ways. But yeah, the main character was so unpleasant that I almost put the book down. Like at the beginning, I was like, do I really want to be in this guy's head for 200 pages? But I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because like it's pretty good. Also, there's a section where he starts reading his ex-lover's diary, and you know, slightly torn here because on the one hand, no, you shouldn't do that, that is bad, but on the other hand, yes, please do that because I want to be in the perspective of somebody else. I want somebody else's first person for a little while because I'm so sick of you. The next one is Nihongo, which means Japanese, and I wanted to read a book in Japanese. I wanted to read a novel, really, but that is actually beyond me, as I've learned this year. And in the end, I did read a children's book, so I'm counting that for my snake. It was called Tori ni natta kyoryu no hanashi. It's a kind of a science children's book. It's about dinosaurs and how they became birds, and so it's like, I guess the age is it's aimed at like, you know, older children, you know, like I don't know, 10 to 12 or something like that. So I for me, I'm like, yeah, that counts. I'm getting my snake in. Next one is Rod of Asclepios. This is the staff that you see in hospitals and on ambulances and stuff with the snake going around it, or the double snake usually, right? I don't remember, is it one or two snakes? It's one snake, right? Anyway, it's the staff of healing from Greek myth. And so it had to be a book that was healing, either healing for me or kind of about healing for the characters. I had Savage Her Reply by Deirdre Sullivan for this one, but I think I'm gonna actually put Glorious Exploits by Fergie Lennon, because I could put Savage Her Reply somewhere else then, maybe. So I'm gonna be a bit tactical here. And yeah, Glorious Exploits, I'm gonna say, for this one. I should probably write the names of the books in because I can't keep them all in my head. I'll write them down afterwards. Glorious Exploits is a historical fiction about the aftermath of, it's called the Expedition to Sicily or something like that, where Athens attacked Sicily. They lost big time, and all the, you know, prisoners of war were put into camps and left to starve. And in this book, two potters have decided to put on the plays of Euripides using the Athenians who've actually seen Euripides because he was like a playwright at Athens, you know, as actors, right? So they put on dramas. It's about putting on dramas. It's about kind of, can we heal the wounds of the past after there's a war and there's two sides that killed each other and hate each other for years and years? Like, can we actually overcome that through art and stuff like that? And I said in my last video, this book is amazing because it manages to tackle these kinds of questions without being cheesy, which is a miracle in and of itself. It was also interesting for me because I hadn't read Medea when I read this book. Read Medea afterwards, but this book has a performance of Medea in it. So like it was like, yeah, there's some intertextual, metafictional stuff going on there, which was fun. Next one is another Boohoo memoir. I didn't read a single memoir in all of last year. I didn't read a single memoir, which is annoying. I started this one last night, 50 Sounds by Polly Barton, who is the translator actually of Mild Vertigo by Mieko Kanai, and she's translated a bunch of Japanese fiction in recent years, and this is about her kind of like journey with the Japanese language. I started it last night, yeah, so like I have to admit, like I did feel some bits of the translation of Mild Vertigo were maybe a little clunky, and I think it's super hard probably to translate Mieko Kanai because she writes weird sentences anyway, even in Japanese, but some of them I think felt a little bit more labored than Mieko Kanai was probably going for, because like I can kind of imagine in my head, you know, like what the Japanese would be, and I'm like, oh, okay, you probably mean that, and that just sounds like really convoluted in English, like more, it's meant to be a bit convoluted, it's not meant to be that convoluted, I think. But anyway, I'm still like very interested in reading her memoir, and like I've still got a few days before the end of the year, so maybe I mean, no, it's not gonna happen, but like at least I'll have a memoir going into the next year. Next one is manga series. So yeah, just had to read I had to like read at least 3 volumes and like get into a manga series was the idea, because I really enjoyed one the year before, and I did. This is volume 4 of Made in Abyss. It's like a dark fantasy about these children who are descending into an abyss to try and solve a mystery, but there's lots of dangers there, and it just makes you, the fact that they're children makes you worried basically all the time. Next one is another snake that I didn't get, Jormungandr. Some of them were particularly hard, and like I enjoyed the challenge, but like Jormungandr is the snake from Norse mythology which encircles the world. It's an Ouroboros, so it's a snake biting its own tail, so it kind of stands in for infinity. And I did think of putting We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver onto this, because that has got like a kind of Ouroboros-y aspect to it. That's like a kind of a horror novel about like a couple that moves into a new house, and then the past owners come and they ask if they can have a look around. Like this strange family come in, and then like you wish that you hadn't let them in, and it's like that kind of feeling of people in your house and you don't know how to get rid of them, but also it gets more sinister. So yeah, that had a kind of Ouroboros-y kind of thing without saying too much. But I didn't put Ouroboros, I put Jormungandr. So Jormungandr encircles the world. It had to be sort of global or world encompassing, or like maybe mystical or something godlike about it, because it's a divinity as well. It had to be more than just a snake eating its own tail basically, and I didn't really read a book like that, I think. Next I had Tove Jansson. So again, this is just another writer who I like to try and read one book of hers at least once a year, and I read The True Deceiver, which is set in a little town in Sweden, I think, and it's very cold and it's winter. And there's 2 characters, an elderly writer who's got lots of money, and then a young woman who's kind of like a social outcast who wants to basically get that writer's money, and she's got plans for doing it, and that's what we're finding out through the story. It's kind of like a battle of wills. It's like these 2 women who've got like a battle of personalities, and I haven't read a book like that in a while. The battle of wills is like a kind of story trope or formula that I really quite like, I've realized, when you just have like 2 characters who are determined to, you know, either outsmart each other or defeat each other, or, you know, they're just like up against each other in some way. Yeah, like having it done with 2 women as well is something that I've rarely read, I feel, and it's just like having that be the focus of the whole book. Next one I have Folkloric Creature, and I could put a snake for this one, actually. I could put either Savage Her Reply, which was, I took away from, I was going to put it as a fantasy, but I put Babel there, so I could put it here, right? Savage Her Reply has a wind demon in it, and, you know, this had to be like a folkloric creature that felt like new and refreshing. It couldn't just be like, if it's a vampire, it can't just be like a Dracula, you know what I mean? Or it can't be like a Twilight. It has to be a vampire, which makes me think of vampires in a new way, right? That's why I wanted a folkloric creature, which kind of expanded my horizons a little bit when it comes to thinking about that folkloric creature. So, Savage Her Reply with the Wind Demon, that's a myth retelling of the Irish folktale, The Children of Lear, right? So there's a wind demon in that, and that wind demon I've known since I was a little kid, because my granddad used to tell me the story and scare the pants off of me with the wind demon. But anyway, yeah, so the wind demon is great in that book, and I could put that there, but I think I could actually put that book somewhere else. So I'm thinking for Folkloric Creature, The Summer That Hikaru Died is about a changeling. It's a manga about a changeling. Okay, I'm back with stickers, getting serious now. Yeah, that's right, I don't have snakes. So I'll have to put another raccoon. You know what, I'm gonna put a parrot. There's a nice little parrot here. There we go, a nice little parrot for a Folkloric Creature because of the manga by Mokumokuren, The Summer That Hikaru Died. So yeah, like there aren't really any changeling stories or media that has got to do with changelings that I'm interested in or that I like or know, and like it's not a folkloric creature that I think about. But in this one I really did, because like I love the idea of there being a changeling, like that let's say you know there's someone in your group of friends or in your family who's not really that person, it's a fake, right? But you react by just going, okay, let's roll with it, right? Because that is what the main character does in The Summer Hikaru Died. And like he'd rather just live with the fake than accept the reality that the person that's close to him is gone. Just this idea that for most people, it's easier to not try and change things, or to go like, oh my God, you're not really him, you're like an imposter. You just go with the flow. That's what most people would do. They'd just kind of like bite their tongue and be like, okay, my best friend is an alien now or whatever, you know, and then just that's it. It just seemed really refreshing and realistic and sad. Next one is Shed Skin because that is what snakes do. And this one had to be a book that looks good without the dust jacket. And I think I am actually gonna try and get this one before the end of the lunar year. I think I'm gonna be able to get another sticker in there because I've been reading this volume of Dungeon Meshi for the whole of 2025, and it's just like taking me so long, but it looks good, I think, on this side, and it looks good if you take off the dust jacket as well. I think that's quite nice. It's written in English there, actually, delicious in dungeon, for some reason, even though it's the Japanese one. The reason it's taken me a year and I'm still not done with it is because it's in Japanese. So like this is also a Japanese book, and I thought manga shouldn't be that hard, right? It's got pictures, but the thing is I'm a perfectionist, so every single word that I don't know, I have to look it up. I cannot do that thing that you're supposed to do when learning languages, which is just kind of, you know, skim read or read for understanding, read for the gist, right? No, I need to know everything. I cannot stand reading stuff that I don't 100% get, which means it goes very slowly, which means I haven't finished it. But I'm kind of close. I could, you know, feasibly, ostensibly get that one in. And if I did, then that would be another bingo going in this direction, which would be nice. I think I didn't get another bingo. Yeah, with the parrot didn't give me a bingo, unfortunately. But yeah, if I finish that book, then I'll get as my second bingo, which I want. Genesis snake, it had to be a snake like the snake from Genesis, the book of Genesis in the Bible. So had to be, you know, deal with the devil scenario, or something to do with the wrath of God, you know, or the love of God, or something, Garden of Eden, whatever, something like that. I had so many choices for this one. I could have put Rosemary's Baby, for example, but I think that The Black Spider by Jeremiah Scott Helf fits it a bit better. Not only does it begin with a deal with the devil where, you know, a village in feudal Switzerland have a really nasty landlord who is kind of working them to death. So the devil offers to help with some of the chores so that they, you know, they can survive and do the crops and stuff like that. And there are repercussions which involve spiders. But also this was written by a pastor, was it a pastor? A God guy, and there's a lot of theological stuff going on. It's quite short, but it's very meaty, both in like the themes and stuff that it grapples with, but also like the narrative. It's got like this quite weird, interesting structure with like stories within stories and all this stuff, and it's actually just great. Thomas Mann says that he admires The Black Spider like almost no other piece of world literature. So there you have it. Next one is snake oil, as in like a snake oil salesman. Had to be about something which is either marketed deceptively or, you know, looks good and that people get and it's actually terrible, you know, like careful what you wish for kind of deal. For this one, I have Love Sickness by Ito Junji, or Shibito no Koi wa Zurai, which is like kind of the dead man or the dead person's love sickness or something like that. It's a horror manga set in a rural town in Japan, which is always covered in fog, and where there is a tradition of people, usually like schoolgirls, going to crossroads to have their fortunes told. So these crossroad fortune tellings happen where you go there and you wait at the crossroads, and the first stranger that walks by is the person you ask, "Excuse me, could you please tell my fortune?" And you ask them some question. Usually they ask about their love life. Will I find love or whatever? And then the stranger has to tell you, and whatever the stranger tells you will come true, is the kind of tradition here, right? And there's a sort of a boom. It's kind of like, you know, getting very popular. A lot of the girls are doing it. It has my favorite opening, I think, of any Junji Ito manga I've ever read. It's just like, or maybe any manga I've read. It's so beautiful and succinct. Like you've got these, his art style still isn't as good as it becomes later on. That's the girl like waiting at the crossroads and someone shadowy figure appearing through the fog. You can see like the people look kind of freaky. She's covering her eyes because apparently you're meant to do that for it to work, the fortune to work properly. And it's interesting because when you're seeing this scene, like the person who appears through the fog looks scary because their face is all shrouded and we're like, oh my God, is it a ghost or something like that? But also the girl who's like just standing there and looking and like kind of covering her face, and she's kind of looks a bit scary as well. And the stranger in the end tells her like, oh, I'm sure your love life will be fine and you'll meet someone great, right? And then she runs off. So it's just a kind of a nice, sweet interaction, but because of the way it's drawn and because of the way the people behave, it feels so mysterious and otherworldly. And I just love that. Things start to become sinister very quickly, and it's incredibly violent. It's one of the most violent mangas I've ever seen. There's a lot of bloodshed in that one. The way it relates to snake oil is because people gradually become more and more dependent on these fortunes told by strangers, and there is a particular stranger who is malevolent and telling really unpleasant things at the crossroads. And there's a sort of running theme of like how strong are the words of strangers, like how someone you don't even know, what power does their words have on you if they tell you your life will be good or your life will be bad or something like that. There's supernatural power, but I think there's also kind of like a metaphoric thing going on there. But yeah, we see a lot of people who are insecure and totally reliant on, you know, the fortune that they get, and that is the snake oil. Basically, the thing that they get is seems like an easy fix to get out of like the difficulties in their lives, and it usually isn't. Usually it is makes things a lot worse. And the very last prompt is Cadmus here, based on probably my favorite Greek myth about a man who kills a giant snake, and then he founds the city of Thebes and he becomes the king, and he has a long life, a happy life. Things go wrong though, a lot of people die. He goes into exile, self-imposed, and then he questions whether he should have killed that snake in the first place. It's a dragon or a snake, like they're kind of interchangeable in Greek myths, like giant snakes are basically dragons. So he asks the gods, like, if I was wrong to kill that big snake, then turn me into a big snake. And they do. He gets turned into a big snake and then he slithers away, and that's the end of his story. I wanted to read a book about someone who is looking back on their life and wondering if they did the right things. Originally I was thinking like kind of someone who's grappling with their own privilege and stuff like that, but I think Savage Her Reply by Deirdre Sullivan, the retelling of the Children of Lear, fits this because it's told from the perspective of the wicked witch, and she is looking back on her life about some of the wicked things she did and basically regretting them, right? You know, learning to kind of heal from that. And she also, like Cadmus, undergoes a bodily transformation, which is in the original folktale, and which, you know, scared the pants off of me, as I mentioned before. But yeah, like actually she does line up in quite a few ways with Cadmus, and I didn't realize that before, which is why when I read that book I didn't put the sticker, but I realize it now, so I'm gonna put a sticker now. I have another parrot, so I'm gonna put another little parrot. I've put a second little parrot there to join its friend, and now I have another bingo, my second bingo in the diagonal. So I'll put a star as well. There we go, my second bingo of the board. Now, of course, there are prizes. I have given myself a prize for my first raccoon bingo there, and I bought a second-hand PlayStation 2 game called Resident Evil Code Veronica, which is about a sister looking for her brother on an island full of zombies, because right now that is the energy I'm manifesting. And I think I might start this today. Then I just got a new bingo, so I'm gonna say that my second prize is this. As you can see, it's unopened, the Made in Abyss Volume 4. I can't wait to open it and start, continue on with this series, because it leaves you on cliffhangers, you know, and cliffhangers are great, but only after a certain amount of time. We want to move on and find out what's happening to those kids. So that's it. That's my 2 bingos for the Year of the Snake. I didn't fill out the board, but that's okay. I think I did a pretty good job. Now I'm going to go indulge in my earnings. In the meantime, let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these, or if you're interested in reading any of these, or if you're looking forward to hearing about the prompts for the Year of the Horse, which will probably be my next video coming soon. I'll catch you then. Bye.